Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to hear a story titled, Am I the A-hole for telling my aunt I want nothing to do with my sister? And a shout out to Joseph for sending me this story. And guys, this story is definitely one of the messed up, crazy ones I've done in a while. Let me tell you. It's all about a gal. She's 26 years old. And since she was 18 years old, she's had nothing to do with her sister or her mother, who are two of the biggest a-holes I've heard in a long time. Always treated her like garbage growing up. The sister was preferred. The dad eventually divorced the mom because he got that bad, took her. And this sister of hers is always trying to cause her problems, stealing her stuff, trying to sabotage relationships, that type of thing. But finally, justice is served down the road as this girl gets her life together, and the mom and sister's life is garbage. And wait till you see the karma that comes for the sister and the mother when it gets out that her sister had relations with her mother's boyfriend, who he turns out to be. And it's definitely some Jerry Springer type of stuff going on here, or some West Virginia type of stuff going on here. But that'll be a pretty entertaining one. And once again shows just how vicious, I mean absolutely vicious, sisters can be towards each other, and how gals can be towards each other. You know, you can have guys do bad things to each other, brothers fighting and all that, but when it comes to it's a whole new level. And I think a lot of my 4% audience of females here know what I'm talking about here. So anyhow, for a story about some real jerks getting what's coming to them and karma coming their way, that'll be a very entertaining one to go over here today on a Friday. She says, I, a 26-year-old female, have been in no contact with my sister Cheryl, a 24-year-old female, and my mother, a 57-year-old female, since I was 18 years old. Well, you're going to see exactly why she hasn't had any contact with these a-holes. Our parents divorced when I was 14. My mom's constant favoritism and enabling of Cheryl's abuse of me would not stop. My mom excused it, as every parent has their favorite. But Cheryl took delight in stealing from me, destroying my things, and using me as physical and emotional punching bag. Well, you hear a lot of these stories, and you find out that, guess what? The child that's being treated like crap is not the child of the father. That type of thing. Mom's boyfriend was the other child's dad. That type of thing. My dad, after years of trying to force family counseling, mental health evaluations, family interventions, etc., my mom kept enabling and at times felt like encouraging Cheryl. My dad treated divorce as a last-ditch effort to try and save what was left in my childhood. Well, good for your dad, but he was also saving himself. But your mom is obviously a piece of garbage anyway, as we will learn. My mom demanded full custody of Cheryl in exchange for giving my dad 80-20 of me. Oh, thanks, Mom. It was a rough battle, and he really did try to limit my custody time with my mom. At 16 years old, I was able to stay with my dad full-time and only see my mom and Cheryl occasionally or at school. I suspect my mom wanted 80-20 of me to keep me around as Cheryl's punching bag, but Cheryl's power over me lessened the instant I had the power to just walk away. Exactly. She didn't have to live with these a-holes anymore. It's funny. Cheryl seemed obsessed with taking from me. New photo, taken. New tablet, taken. Once we were both in high school and lived with Dad full-time, she couldn't blatantly steal from me anymore. Didn't stop her from trying, though. I had one boyfriend in high school who she tried to seduce, but failed. He told me immediately and was weirded out by it. Of course. And who egged all this behavior on? The mother. And where do you think that came from? Because Mom's a big giant cheater, and Cheryl isn't your dad's daughter. When I went to college, she e-stalked me and found out if I was dating anyone. I had two boyfriends in college, and she tried the same thing. Both times they told me that Cheryl's attempts and shot her down. This part might need some explanation. Cheryl is conventionally attractive, like from across the room, but since she was a teenager, she has hygiene issues. She showers once every 2 weeks and uses a combination of scented hand lotion and perfume that combines with her BO into a new mega stench versus covering up. She takes a shower once or twice. What is she, some stupid hippie? Does she shave her pits, shave her legs? I mean, I'm assuming she goes number 2 at least once a day, maybe once every other day. And she showers once or twice a week. Oh, once a week or once every 2 weeks. That's real nice. My last boyfriend remarked that when she put her hand on his shoulder, he was immediately grossed out by her nails. When I was in college, Cheryl also attempted to get a credit card in my name. That's fraud. Have her arrested. Because you can hear the sirens, here they come. But I had a lock on my credit, courtesy of my dad, who feared my mom might try to use this first. So needless to say, I'm not impressed with my sister or my mom. Last night I got a weird phone call from my Aunt Janice, a 64-year-old female, my mom's sister. I haven't talked to this woman in nearly a decade, and suddenly she's calling me. She asked me what I heard. I heard nothing, so I was confused. She instantly was like, "Good, Cheryl. Cheryl needs a place to stay. Your mom kicked her out." I was immediately like, "Excuse me? No." Janice then kept begging me to let Cheryl stay at my place, at least for a few days, for my mom to cool down. How is this your problem? You no longer have any contact with her, and your mom's a piece of garbage and all that, and your sister's a piece of garbage. And why'd your mom kick out her favorite daughter? Well, you're about to find out. I told Auntie Janice that I haven't talked to Cheryl, my mom, or her in years, and that you were strangers to me. And the last time we all talked, you weren't my favorite people. Good for her for saying this, for sticking up for herself. That could have been easy. Janice then kept saying, "Family helps family, and it's just for a few days. It'll be fine." I finally blocked the phone number, but I did get a confused call from cousins, confused that I cut my sister off and my mom off, as it happened recently and not almost a decade ago. Yeah, clearly they didn't get the memo about that. Good for her for blocking these a-holes. And it sickens me when people are always like, "Family's family. You do things for family." If family's good to you, but if family is awful to you or takes advantage of your good nature, you don't do a fucking thing for family. The cousins from my mom's side really talked to me, so they were just as confused as I was and wanting clarification. I'm debating on telling them in the details, but I'm just thinking of just telling them it's not their business. There you go. But I can't help but think that I should have handled the call with my aunt better. Am I the a-hole for how I told my aunt that I want nothing to do with my mom and sister? No, you're a grown-ass adult. I think you said here you're 26 years old at this point. You're an adult. I'm sure if you're not already taking care of yourself in this world, you're on your way. And they were treated like garbage growing up? No way. And I guarantee you, even though it pissed your Auntie Janice off, she got some respect for you by standing your ground. Now to some updates to see where this all goes. So I talked to two of my cousins over the phone and explained that I've been in no contact with my mom and sister since I was 18 years old. Still saw them a handful of times, but never interacted with them directly. As suggested, gave Cliff Notes' version of what happened with my sister and mom that made me want to cut both of them out of my life. My cousin said figures, and the other one says makes sense. Aunt sent a message via Facebook Messenger of I had no idea it was that bad. She did. And then she will leave me alone about it from now on. Yeah, sure. And of course she's known what's been going on. Overall, it felt good starting my Friday until noon today. My husband and I work from home, and we were both surprised when our doorbell rang, and we had someone buzzing the front door. I checked the camera, and yep, it's my sister Cheryl with 2 suitcases. Where does she think she's moving into? I went to the door and kept the screen door closed and locked, but opened the front door. I could still smell her weird BO through the screen door, so her hygiene has not improved since I last knew her. That is disgusting. Cheryl tried to go, "Hey sis," all bubbly and like half my childhood didn't happen. I asked what she want. She said her and mom got into a fight, wouldn't say why or what the fight was about, and asked to stay with me. I said absolutely not, and she started crying. Of course she did. I'd be like, "You want to talk to me? First you can go freaking hose yourself off in the backyard. I'll throw a bar of soap out there, and then we can have a conversation still after a while. Maybe I'll throw some lime all over you or something." Then she said she didn't want to tell me this, but she and my husband had been having a 6-month-long affair, and that she couldn't hold on in anymore, and that blood sticks with blood. Oh, for God's sakes. It was that moment my husband rounded the corner and said, "Say what?" My sister looked confused and asked who the hell that man was behind me, and I almost laughed because I realized what happened. Since Thanksgiving onward, my husband grew a small beard for the first time, and most of his pictures on social media were him cleanly shaven. So of course Cheryl will have no idea what he looked like with the beard. I said, "That's my husband," and she tried to recover. It was sad and pathetic. I simply said, "Bye, Cheryl," and closed the door. 10 minutes of her continually buzzing and ringing, knocking and pleading, and she finally left. I would have called the cops immediately to drag this lunatic out of here. So, total a-hole growing up, and the bitch won't fucking take a bath. And now the second she doesn't get her way, she immediately said, "I was having an affair with your husband." And of course it's bullshit. I called both the cousins and asked what the hell is this all about? Why did my mom kick Cheryl, her favorite child, out? One cousin only knew bare bones, but the others knew the details. When my parents finally first divorced, there was a guy my mom brought in almost immediately who I call Scumbag Tom. Him showing up in the start of the divorce felt highly suspicious, but he was always a weird guy that I never liked being around. I did ask my dad if he thought Mom cheated on him with Tom, and he said Tom was the least of his worries and the lowest of his priorities when it came to the divorce. Yeah, so her dad was just so happy to get out of there that he's like, I don't give a shit at this point. Long story short, Cheryl slept with Tom. Mom found out and kicked Cheryl out. And as Tom stayed, swearing Cheryl tricked him somehow. So the favorite daughter is hooking up with Mom's boyfriend. Just Cheryl staying super classy, and Mom found the one thing she wouldn't tolerate, Cheryl doing. God, I'm glad I cut these people out of my life. Update number 2. She says, this is a strange and developing situation. The last 12 hours have been a roller coaster. I talked to my dad again today, had a visit with him, and told him what Cheryl had done, and Dad sat down on the couch and started laughing and crying and shaking his head. I was really worried because I was afraid he was having a medical issue. He finally caught his breath and told me the family secret. During the divorce, my mom was apparently extremely vicious and even attempted to keep me full-time. I wasn't told this. Mom went as far to even claim that I was not my dad's child, and she knew who my real father was and would use this to get full custody. Dad was undeterred, even if it wasn't his child. He raised me, and he wasn't going to leave me in hell because of that. Well, that says a lot about him. Paternity tests were ordered for both me and Cheryl, and I was Dad's child. Cheryl was not. Shocker. That's why Cheryl gets all the special treatment, and that's why this girl does not. Cheryl, however, did not match the person my mom brought to be sampled. Scumbag Tom, Dad, was still going to be chuckling and sobbing for a few minutes while telling me and my husband this. Then there was silence, which felt like it went forever. I finally asked if Scumbag Tom knew. Dad just nodded. I asked him how he felt about Cheryl. He said, you just can't turn off being someone's dad, no matter how shitty they turn out. I had my husband take my dad to the guest bedroom after he said he needed to lay down for a moment. Around noon, my phone started ringing. It was an unknown number, but I figured it was Cheryl. I picked up, and yup, it was Cheryl. She was again begging for any sort of help. Stay with me or money for a hotel, anything. I was tired, and I admit I wanted to hurt her. So I told her who Scumbag Tom was to her. She was quiet and then begged me to tell I was lying. I just hung up. I told my husband and father what I did, and my dad just started that weird sobbing chuckle again. So Scumbag Tom is her father, and she just hooked up with Scumbag Tom. So without knowing who her father was, it was her mom's boyfriend, she hooked up with him. Jerry. This could be bullshit. You never know, but it's fucking funny. And I need this on a Friday. My husband, however, said we should probably call my aunt and let her know what I just told Cheryl, in case Cheryl becomes unstable and at least someone would be alert for it. I do feel bad that I dropped this on Cheryl as a way to specifically hurt her. No, you don't. Come on, nobody's buying that song and dance, honey. I tried justifying this, even a tenth of the hurt she's given me, but hurting someone doesn't feel good the longer I sit with it. It feel good to me. If I was treated the way you were treated, I would have no problem with that. I'd be also dumping some salt in the wound and rubbing the salt in there. Update number 3. Posting here in my profile right now. I don't know where this would be long, honestly. As everyone's advice, I did call my 2 cousins and we had a real conversation. Whoever said my mom and sister controlled the narrative with that side of the family was right. According to my cousins, my dad was painted as a low-life cheater and I as a dropout drug addict that went man to man. Literally only had 4 boyfriends my entire life. So when my sister was kicked out, my aunt suggested she stay at my place. The cousins were confused. Wasn't I a druggie that couch surfed and was unemployed? Aunt apparently came up with a story that I speed ran adulthood in 6 months of getting clean, an online degree, and job, home, and husband. So the mother has been lying this whole time, saying all these awful things. Dad was a cheater, and this girl is a piece of garbage. Meanwhile, her daughter's the piece of garbage. Now, both cousins never really liked my mom or sister. They just figured it was trash. If it was trash, called me trash. I must have been super trash. I did tell them the truth about Cheryl and Scumbag Tom, and both were disgusted with everyone involved. They made sure that the family had been sufficiently warned. Now, the next part apparently happened late last night. and I'm getting this secondhand. Cheryl apparently stopped back at Mom's, and the three of them got into a big argument. Things were broken and thrown against the wall, and the cops were called. Of course they were. The cops showed up. Mom tried to get Cheryl kicked out, but apparently Cheryl's legal address is my mom's house, so the cops told her she can't be kicked out. Same with scumbag Tom's legal address, so as long as no one is actually assaulted, the cops didn't care. So you're going to have all three of them under one roof. The mother, who's the mother from hell. Scumbag Tom, who's the one that is this girl's father. And this girl's Cheryl, who, unbeknownst to her, was hooking up with her dad. Again, back to the Jerrys. I'm now making a habit of putting all calls from unfamiliar numbers straight to voicemail. I got 3 from new numbers last night. 2 was Mom, first her crying and pleading for her to apologize to me and begging me to understand. What's there to understand, bitch? You've been treating me like garbage our entire lives together. I want nothing to do with you. You can burn in hell for all I'm concerned. Second was her screaming and cursing to the point into devolving into noise. The third call was scumbag Tom, starting with him going, "Hello, kiddo." Deleted that one before he even finished. Going to take a long ring doorbell footage, the past legal case of the credit card, and voicemails, the text, and any info from my cousins and get some legal orders in place right now. It's all just trash, 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 trash. Yeah, you do need a lawyer. You need a restraining order against these fucking people. Maybe even mentioning something to the police so there's a record of this in case this gets even worse. Update number 4. I mentioned in my profile that I cleared up the narrative about me to my cousins. My mother and sister spun a tale that I was a hot mess, couldn't keep a job, slept around, did drugs, couch surfed. When my sister was kicked out, my aunt decided to suggest Cheryl stay with me, which made my cousins confused. Wasn't I a hot mess? Aunt then made up a story that I got my life together, got clean, a degree, career, house, a husband in 6 months' time. Yeah, it's kind of quick. My cousins were skeptical, but they thought that since Mom and sister were trash, if they called me trash, I must have been super trash. So they always kept a distance away. That since being cleared up, for the most part, the cousins wanted to stay away from the epicenter of the drama bombs. The next part I heard in part from my 2 cousins. Cheryl decided to head back home, and her and Mom got into a big argument. And scumbag Tom decided to jump in. Scumbag Tom probably wanted to do both of them. Cops were called, everyone's address were verified, and the cops' attitude was, since no one was assaulted, no one is allowed to kick anyone out and left. I've been getting calls from all family members, blah, blah, blah. Mom and Cheryl, scumbag Tom, go straight to voicemail. And I'm collecting as much of it as possible, and I've been sending it to the police. Good, that's what you should do. My husband suggests we retain a lawyer to better handle this, which we'll be doing in the next couple days. My aunt is acting very apologetic, keeps claiming she didn't know the abuse was as intense as it was. Bullshit. And thought the problems I had with Cheryl was stupid sibling stuff. When she said we shouldn't cut Mom and Cheryl out of our lives just yet. Hey, Auntie Janice, it's none of your freaking business. Of course you cut these pieces of garbage out of your lives. No one else on my mom's side of the family is willing to lend any help or support except my aunt. I am, however, getting more calls from cousins, second cousins, and other members of my mom's family wanting to reconnect now they know the truth. Sort of not sure if I should even dedicate any time to them. They didn't lend my father or I any support during the divorce or afterwards. I wouldn't have anything to do with them. If they want to apologize, that's real nice, but that's it. You've moved on. This girl's family now is her husband, and any kids she may have, and his family, and her dad. That's it. That has nothing to do with the mom's side of the family. Part of me understands that this is because my mom and sister spun a hell of a narrative, but at least according to my cousins, her side of the family thought Mom and Cheryl were trash anyway, but still associated with them. I might reconnect more with my aunt's kids, the 2 cousins, since they approached me and this whole mess started with the confusion, and asked for clarification, not outright trying to browbeat me into accepting my sister into my home. I wouldn't do it, but it's her life. Update number 5, and the final one wrapping up this SHIT show. Says, I've been getting some questions and stuff, plus there's a minor update, so here we go. People ask how my aunt and cousins have my number, and that's simple. I had the same number since I was a teenager. I've been weighing number switching, but that would mean changing the 2FA on all apps in my sign-ins, and honestly, Cheryl rarely calls, so it doesn't bother me. I've had the same phone number since on my cell phone since 2004. I'm not changing it, it's a pain in the ass. As far as how Cheryl knew where I lived, that's because she's my effing psycho stalker. Lily, when I was in college and had a boyfriend, within a week she found him at a party and tried to hit on him. If she spent 1/10 the energy she did on stalking me to getting a PI license, she would probably be the most successful private investigator in the state. Some people suggested Cheryl's lack of hygiene could have meant scumbag Tom was grooming her and messing with her since we were kids. While it does make me a tiny bit sympathetic to Cheryl, I have to be honest, I haven't thought of her as a family member since I was a teenager. Who knows? But at this point, you know what? She's become such a piece of garbage a-hole. Whatever. For the update, we've doubled up on our home cameras, got a shit file and an attorney, and an initial protective order in place for Cheryl, Mom, and scumbag Tom. The official hearing will be upcoming, but the law moves slow. My husband, Dad, and I have taken to scanning our cars for air tags lately. No bleeps yet, but can't be too safe now. What a crazy world when you got to scan your car and somebody's putting an air tag on it to track you. Had lunch with my 2 cousins, and they both have suggested to Aunt Janice that she cared about Cheryl so much that she should house her. How about that for an idea? The cousins told me that Janice broke down at that and revealed that Janice was me. Turns out my mom and Janice had a very, very similar relationship to Cheryl, and I and Janice were the punching bag to our mom. Janice got so used to rolling over and taking it that she was confused that I refused to. Stay away from these nut jobs as far away from them as you can. Me refusing to take this role, she had broke her, and she felt even more steadfast that she had to have me submit like she did, as a weird twisted way to prove that she wasn't wrong submitting all those years. Janice is booked with a family therapist because she said saying that out loud made her feel psychotic. My 2 cousins said that other than my mom, Janice was an exemplary mother, so I somehow believe it's Janice's trauma. I do feel bad for her. Maybe she'll get through this. I hope she does. Not your problem. My cousins understand that we can't have a close cousin relationship because we weren't raised that way, but we will see what we can be friends at the very least. The end of this crazy saga. So anyhow, I love stories, crazy stories, really crazy ones on occasion, and ones where a-holes get what's coming. This gal here was always treated like crap by her mom, her sister. The mom wanted to get rid of her, but keep her around just enough so the other sister can give her a lot of crap all the time. And this is how things turn out. And the girl obviously becomes a scumbag. I mean, she grows into a total scumbag adult. And then she's not knowingly doing her freaking dad, who, I mean, good God, you can make this shit up, but you get my point. This is some daytime TV, Maury Povich, Springer shit. But I love it when a-holes get what's coming to them. And her a-hole mother and sister, oh, they're getting what's coming to them. So that's good to hear. And I hope this gal has a very good life. Probably she's been through so much drama that she's going to stay as far away from it as possible and have a good thing with her husband. But anyhow, justice is served, and this goes to show you the kind of venom that the gals can have for each other is amazing. I've seen brothers fight and brothers do harsh things to each other, but I have seen to levels you wouldn't believe what sisters, particularly if they become stepsisters or half-sisters, can do to each other just out of pure is ugly stuff. And it's nice to see justice being served. And I think a lot of the 4% of you that are women that watch me know darn well how vicious sisters and gals can be towards each other to a whole new level compared to guys. Anyhow, that's the end of the very crazy one I've done in a while. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you find a crazy story like me to cover, email me, strongsuccessfulmail@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I definitely will. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.